From the beginning, you could sense how much it was at stake. Every duel, every action, it was full gas, and not much football, very short sequences of play. And yeah, with the 10 men, obviously we expected a different game. We planned it, we went through in the second half, and straight away, after the first kick, they get a free kick, a wide free kick from their corner, and they score. And emotionally, it becomes a very tricky game to play.
The TV replays showed that the tackle was high for the red card. You agree?
Yeah, I think it's a red card. I think 11-11, we were in control, we create chances, and we were probably doing better than them. And then the red card changed a little bit the dynamic of the game, but even with that, I think the way the player, they dealt with that has been outstanding.
Lately, I've been playing as a striker, and I'm trying to move in the right areas so my teammates can find me. And today they did, so really happy for that. I try to take information from every game, every action, even striker that I see on the TV, so that helps me.
And you yourself seem to be getting game sharper game by game.
Yeah, I think that comes with playing consistently, playing at a high level week in, week out. It's something I didn't do for a long period, and I've got a good streak together, and I'm happy to be on the pitch.
And you like playing in that midfield role?
I like playing full stop.
Well, playing in that midfield role, Micah, how important was he in sort of stopping Arsenal?
It was sensational. I think Maresca with a tactical plan was definitely there, but James was just outstanding in this formation, in that midfield area. So this is him on the ball. So what we do know is, in that midfield, Arsenal like to go man-to-man, and it's the same for Chelsea as well. But what James was doing, because Rice was marking him, was pulling him all the way out. He didn't know to go to Kaisedo or to James. So now James pulled him out, and now it allows Gusto to go in midfield. And that's what's so good about James. Whether he's playing right back, centre mid, he has an effect on the game. Okay, they go forward, they break the lines, and then Esteban, he should do better here. So firstly, we've gone with on the ball. This is now him pressing. So I just want to hold it here. James and Rice, normally, and you see Enzo and Zubamendi. But hold it there. But normally you would have James a little bit further on. But this time, he's the furthest forward in this position. He goes there, it goes to one, it goes to the other, and now he goes because he knows he's got the protection behind him. A better pass, they're in, Arsenal get numbers back. He was instrumental in the game, exactly what they're doing. But this is my favourite one here. All right, just hold it here. He sees where Rice is. He wants to press him. And as we roll it on slowly here now, he's absolutely perfect midfield play. Watch now. He stops. He looks behind him. He knows exactly that he's covered behind him. Then he decides to go to Calafiori and get the ball because he knows he's got a chance to win it. It's all about percentages, when you're supposed to go, when you're supposed to drop off. And for a right back playing in midfield, it's just sensational to watch. And then down to 10 men, 1 and 2 touch. Can you see a pass? We know he's got that. We've been waxing lyrical about it for years, doing all this sort of stuff. Absolutely perfect. And then, yeah, he's in a position where he wants to receive the ball. Again, Chelsea with 10 men, causing Arsenal problems. And then who gets the corner for Chalobah goal there? We know his delivery is so good. And for someone to have that ability to go from right back to centre midfield, but have that effect on a game. Sensational.
Yeah, and not just then about stopping Arsenal, it was about creating for Chelsea as well in that game. And it was a hard-fought derby. Mikel Arteta talked about it there, without ever really spilling over, apart from the Kaisedo red card. What were your thoughts on it?
Yeah, you can't. There's no argument. It's high, and he's endangering an opponent, and he's late, and eventually they get to the right decision, but it's a bad tackle. You can see how high it is here. There, it's no argument at all. Clear red card, Michael.
Yes, I did. I didn't when I watched it earlier on in real time. I didn't think it was, but as I watched it on and that angle there, it's certainly a red card.
Yeah, even though Kaisedo himself looks slightly startled to be receiving it. But yeah, it was given as a yellow on the field and then overturned when he went to have a look at it. We talked about Chelsea stopping Arsenal from open play. They were also effective in stopping them from corners as well.
I just think they were excellent all over the field. I mean, we know what Arsenal can do and what they tried to do. But here you got Enzo here, blocking the run. Again, James there, no entry. João Pedro's not even looking at the ball. And then Cucurella, no entry. Goalkeeper comes and punches it clear. How many times have we seen that before with Arsenal? Pedro's not looking at the ball. He's just looking for the runner. Goalkeeper's got a free punch again. This is not what Arsenal normally do. Normally they're so organised. But this was the perfect one. Brave, 10 men, 3 up against 3. They said, no problem. We'll leave Madueke at the edge of the box. We'll defend what we need to defend. And the goalkeeper catches it. Easy. And, I mean, that was the lowest set-piece expected goals this season because Chelsea defended so well. Yeah. But the missing Gabriel and Saliba.
Yeah, and taking that into account, missing their 2 centre-halves or their 2 first-choice centre-halves, taking into account the week that Arsenal have had, has it been a good week or is this kind of set them back in any way, do you think, dropping points at Chelsea?
When you're up against 10 men for that amount of time, I guess there'd be a little bit of disappointment, but I think when you look at the overall big picture, the week they've had, beating Tottenham very impressively, beating Bayern very impressively, and going there today, being 1-0 down, I know they're against the 10 men and they're missing their 2 main centre-halves, coming away with a point, I think that's a very, very good week.
Yeah, and still keep that gap at 5 points at the top of the
Zola and Ian Wright. So let's start with their former clubs going head-to-head at Stamford Bridge, where Arsenal hadn't lost in the Premier League in their last 6 Premier League visits. It was certainly feisty, and Chelsea, right after 38 minutes, reduced to 10 men because of that.
Yeah, we saw that. We saw Moses Kaisedo was a little bit pumped up for the game, but like that one, he just arrived just a little bit too late. You see Mikel Moreno just pops it off too quick for him there, and you can just see that is the reason why. It's just above that, the boot there, and when they look back at it, I think he probably had to go.
Yeah, probably he was right to go. I don't think he wanted to be nasty there. He just wanted to get the ball. Merino has been so good to move the ball very fast.
That was a great ball in, Gianfranco, we were saying.
Yeah.
It's when the ball's this good, there's not much you can do, Steve. That's a fantastic ball, and Chelsea are very good at that as well.
Yeah, the delivery was fantastic.
Fantastic.
You can be well organised defensively like Arsenal, but when the delivery is like that, it's difficult.
Well, this delivery wasn't bad either.
Well, this is a great cross from Saka. I think there's not much Cucurella can do about him getting back onto his left foot, but then when you look in the middle, I'm sure that someone like Fofana, when he looks back at this, he'll believe he could do more. You know, he's in no man's land in the middle of the 6-yard box, and he got punished. And then right at the death, you know, this is one he just needs to know you're coming as a centre forward. Gyökeres has got to tell Timber. He's got to shout him, he's got to scream at him, frighten him out of moving out of the way there, Steve, so as he can just come in and have a tap-in header.
Would you have been upset if you were...
Yeah, but the thing is, with that one, Gianfranco, I would let him know. He would know from us training together that when I'm coming in with real aggression. Something, you know, you're saying something to make him realise where he is.
Why don't we find that difficult to believe, Gianfranco?
I know. You would have pushed him.
No. Correct.
Yeah, I would. He's my own man. You push him out of the way.
Let's get some Arsenal reaction first of all. Here's their manager, Mikel Arteta.
You come away with a point, hard fought. It was a fierce day, wasn't it?
Yeah, right from the beginning you could sense how much it was at stake. Every duel, every action, it was full gas, and not much football, very short sequences of play. And yeah, with the 10 men, obviously we expected a different game. We planned it, we went through in the second half, and straight away after the first kick, they get a free kick, a wide free kick from their corner, and they score. And emotionally, it becomes a very tricky game to play. But yeah, overall, I think when you don't win with 10 men for 45 minutes, you have to be disappointed, but we have to know as well where we're coming from, the week that we had, the fact that we play a tough opponent as well, and at the end we got a point.
When you came here without your 2 centre-backs, really, what did you make of the 2 boys who stood in for you?
Well, I think they did everything they possibly can. Again, very, very talented, very demanding team. They never play together, so we need to build as well that synergy. We are without our number 9. We lost Leo as well. So there were a lot of things that happened before the game. But the spirit of the team is intact. We have a massive week, both physically, mentally, and in every sense. And I think overall it's a really positive week.
And on the physical side to this game, do you think some of the players involved got involved with the occasion too much rather than the game itself?
Well, I don't know. You have to play the occasion and certain duels and the way they propose the game as well, and you have to be able to do that. There are certain moments, and especially we have one less day than them when they play Barcelona, to do that. You could sense that in times, especially when the game opened up, when the keeper catches the ball with the hands, and yeah, we gave everything.
They did, and then they have a 5-point lead going into a busy midweek match week this week over Manchester City, and 6 clear of Chelsea. And he makes a good point there. If I'd said to you, in fact, we were sitting here a week ago before the Tottenham game, if you'll get the 4 points out of 6 in the Premier League and a 3-1 win over Bayern in the Champions League, you would have taken that.
Yeah, you'd be very happy with that. And again, you know, it's very early in the season with the league, and Arsenal are doing well up to this point. But like you say, he said that, you know what I mean, they've done well this week because they're mentally and physically tired, and they got to go again because they'll have another tough game against Brentford next week. So, you know, the concentration has to come back. They have to replenish themselves and go again. I think we got away with one today. Coming off of such a tough week, emotionally and physically, like they say, I keep saying that, I don't know why I keep saying it. But the fact is that they'll be refreshed and ready to go again at home.
Were you a little frustrated because 11v11, Chelsea not had them rattled, but they were on top, weren't they, with plenty of energy?
Yes, well, first of all, I've been surprised with how much problems they created to Arsenal with 10 men. It shows that this team has a lot of energy, first of all, but is also very well organized, because energy is not enough to play a team like Arsenal against 11 men. So that is a very good consideration. And on top of that, I see a lot of players that they are maturing in terms of football intelligence. I think James is one of the main examples. He's been playing as a midfielder, and before I was saying to Ian that I like him more on the right side, but I might change my mind, because the performance today was excellent from all the technical and tactical aspects. So
I think as well, Gianfranco, if they don't go down to 10 men, I think maybe we see Cole Palmer, and then the last 15, 20 minutes, that would have been a different thing, you know what I mean?
I agree.
So, again, I think we kind of we dodged one there, and that's why I think the point is a very good point.
Even though, as Mikel Arteta was honest enough to say, when you're playing 10 men for, 55 minutes nearly, more than often you're expected to go in the game and make it count. Yeah, but then once you do get the point, because I was of the impression that once it went down to 10, I mean, I was really quite confident, because I think, well, at least we definitely won't lose from here. Then we concede a goal, and then the game turns. Then now you've got to go and try and find it, and in the end we did. And then after that, you're now happy with a point. You have to take it. You have to be happy.
I got to say that I was expecting more dominance of Arsenal when they went up to 1 man, because normally, you know, when a strong team like Arsenal that is already dominant 11 versus 11, when they go 1 man up, I was expecting them to have more control of the game, more control of the ball, and creating pressure on Chelsea, something that I didn't see. Actually, Chelsea looked like
physically, and they looked very strong
in the situation, and few times they try to create problems, and they're very close to do that.
And on that, since the red card, they had 7 efforts each. So they matched Arsenal even with a man less.
No, that is no doubt. This is a team, Chelsea, that is growing in stature, growing in confidence, growing in you know, determination, and they know that they can cause problems to anybody.
And for Arsenal, they've got to get used to weeks like this, haven't they? Because that's what they want. They want to be top of the Champions League, top of the Premier League.
Well, it's the problem we've had in the last few years is trying to take the last step. And games like this, at this stage of the season, is what you have to get something out of, preferably a win. You have to get something out of it so as you can try and build the cushion. So when you get to the latter stages, if you do started to feel the pressure because you haven't done it before, then you've got the cushion of the wins, what you're building now. So that's why you need to build them now, and I think that's what Arsenal are doing, and they know it. You can see the disappointment in them because they've been so close on so many occasions. So I think that this season is one where they're getting everything together and just having a blast at it and making sure that they get it done this year.
And on that depth, let's remind everyone, only the second time in 162 Premier League games that Arsenal have played without Saliba and Gabriel. It isn't serious, Saliba.
No.
It's just a knock in training.
And even that, Steve, remember we lost Saliba a couple of seasons ago and it literally finished our season, and we lost him just before the game, and as much as the two guys, Mosquera and Nkappi, they've not played together, and it was a good performance. Again, the 10 men would probably have helped that, but at the same time, to be able to bring them in at that late stage, with Saliba going out that late stage, and it doesn't affect us to the point where it's done in the past, is the progress that Arsenal have made up to this point, because we did not lose a game against a really vibrant Chelsea side.
OK, that's the Arsenal side of the story. Here's the Chelsea reaction with their manager, Enzo Maresca.
Well, Enzo, against the team that's top of the league, with a man less for a lot of it, what do you think you showed today?
I think we showed that we are in the right direction again. I always said the same because I really think that we go in the right direction. The performance has been, I just said, the players, wow, for me has been fantastic. We were much better team than them, 11v11. And then with 10 players, it's more difficult. But the way they deal with that situation has been outstanding.
So how did you achieve that? How did you manage to be the better team, 11 against 11? Tell us a bit about the game plan.
But I think it's been quite clear that 11v11 we were better than them.
But what did you do to make yourselves better than them?
We just try to exploit the best solution, the best space, the best situation. We knew that probably the space was for Malo, Estevao in that side. The way we prepared the game, I think worked quite well. And again, but overall, I think tonight we can be happy, even if we didn't win.
What did you make of the red card? Pretty clear?
I think red card is red card, to be honest. The only thing that I struggle to understand is the different way to judge, because what about Bentancur against Reece? If you remember, when we play away, it's exactly the same foul. So for me tonight was a red card, and also that one. Why once is red card, once is not red card? It's just this difference that sometimes you struggle to assess and to understand.
So you struggle a little bit with that VAR intervention when it does and when it doesn't?
I think it's red card. It's clear that it's red card tonight, but it was also clear the other 2 games ago, 3 games ago. But why the difference? This is the only thing that sometimes you are there and say, oh, but it's where it is.
OK, right, well, that's interesting. Your fellow Italian thinks it's a red card, but was upset the same challenge in November the 1st from Bentancur of Tottenham wasn't. So we've dug it out. Let's have a look and see if we think this challenge on Reece James is similar, the same today. What do we think?
No, I need to see this.
Is that similar to Kaisedo?
Oh, yes, it's very much similar.
Yeah. Well, didn't he go for that?
Very much.
No, that's Maresca's point.
Yeah, but that's the inconsistency. It's not, you can't blame anybody. Maresca can't blame anybody other than the referees in that instant, because that's a dangerous challenge. It's no different to this, none at all.
But they were both red cards, as simple as that.
So you agree with Maresca on that one, then?
Yeah, he was right. No, obviously, you can go back to other situations, but this was certainly a red card, as it was the other one.
But he described the effort with 10 men as outstanding, and he used the same word that you actually touched on earlier in the day, maturity of the group.
No, I told you, it's very unusual to see a 10-man team handling so well a situation against a team like Arsenal. Bear in mind, I said it to my friend Jan before. For me, Arsenal right now is the best team in Europe, for what I see recently them doing. So therefore, to have the control of the game and not to suffer too much against a team with their stature, their value, is quite remarkable.
Yeah, totally agree. And I think that when you look at Chelsea, you saw the manager at the start of his interview saying that, you know, they're on the right track, you know, playing against Arsenal, playing like they did, and if they had 11 men, he probably thinks they would have beaten them. And that's the main thing, is that they're on the right track now. I still believe that probably a top goalkeeper and maybe and two good centre-halves, one experienced one, just two good centre-halves, and Chelsea are pretty close. I think they're pretty close.
Why don't you mind your own team?
You tell him,
I'm just saying Chelsea are close. Chelsea are close. Look what they've done to us with 10 men.
Yeah, well, Kaisedo gets a 3-match ban now.
Wow.
For that red card. I mean, we're talking about Arsenal's strength in that. How key is he to Chelsea?
That would be a big miss for us because he's been instrumental in what we are doing so far. He is the kind of player that gives stability to everyone. You know, he's one of those players that me personally, I would say, I would always want to have in my team.
Yeah.
You know, it's unbelievable.
What does that do, though, for the belief and the confidence in Chelsea's group to produce a performance, especially with 10 men, against a team, like you say, you feel are the best in Europe?
I think it would be massive. Like, for example, you know, for them winning the World Cup for clubs has been huge. And before that, winning the winners, the cup, the international cup. Those are especially to a young team like this, to have those confirmations. They are huge because they have talent, but they are young, so they need to know. They need feedback, and you know, winning the trophy has been unbelievable. And now getting a point today with 10 men against this Arsenal, it will be as important as that one as well.
Yeah, 8 players under the age of 26 in that starting 11.
Yeah.
So just to round off on Chelsea, they're 6 points behind Arsenal at the moment. Can they stay within that distance, do you think, over the course of the next
If it was another league, I would say maybe not. But in Premier League, you know, even Arsenal, they know that if they want to keep the distance between the other teams, they will need to produce all the time. You go to Brentford, you can be sure that if they don't play as Arsenal, they will struggle. So it's not the end yet.
Yes.
Interesting. OK, when we come...
So it finished 1-1 then at Stamford Bridge. We're going to persevere, aren't we?
Yeah.
Fingers crossed, everybody. Look, the red card, Enzo Maresca said he didn't have a problem with it. He had more of a problem with consistency on previous decisions. But when you look at the Kaisedo challenge, what are you looking at?
I'm looking at the angle he challenges at as well, and also just understanding why he's going in for the challenge initially anyway. So if you just want to run it on, I just want to highlight where the two players are initially now. So if we just stop it now, and we're looking at the two players, Kaisedo and Moreno. Kaisedo doesn't see him. Yeah, he doesn't. All he's focused on, really, is that, and rightly so. As you run it on now, I just don't know why he gets involved. He's got his mate coming out as well at centre-back.
So Chalobah would have Moreno covered there?
Yes, he's stepping out there. But this happens a lot with Kaisedo. Listen, he's brilliant. He's fantastic. Brilliant at winning the ball back. But he ends up in some really strange positions when he's making tackles. Now, he ends up with a situation now as he comes across, and I'm not just talking about the nature of the tackle, but he's actually now facing his own goal to make a tackle against Moreno. Now, forget the colours of the shirts. If we just put everybody in a black shirt, you'd think Kaisedo's team were attacking that way.
Yeah, he was, yeah.
But that again comes from the angle. He doesn't need to get involved in that tackle. Chalobah stepped out with him. His man were there, but again, he's got this sort of...
He was pumped up today, wasn't he?
He was really pumped up. I think we saw that right from the start of the game. I think the whole talk this week of
even if we
Kaisedo, understandably so, maybe got to him a little bit. It's a huge game. And he's ended up getting himself involved in a challenge. Yes, it's a red card. But where he comes from, the angle of the challenge, it's just daft. to get involved in a tackle like that. He doesn't need to. We've looked at it again. It's just above the ankle. And when you see the ankle buckle a little bit, I think that's always a sort of a real giveaway for VAR to make sure that they give the red card.
It's his first red card for Chelsea. He is actually going to be suspended for the first game of the World Cup next year because he got 2 yellows in the qualifier, unless he gets a visit to the White House, and then maybe that might change for the opening game of the World Cup. Who knows? But when you look at him domestically, he makes more fouls to tackles than most other players in the Premier League. Now, is that youth and all-action style and something that may change?
I hope it changes. Yeah, because listen, he's a brilliant player. He wins the ball back fantastically well. But I think he does have a tendency, and I'm quite surprised, really. It's only as sort of, you mentioned his first red card. I remember a challenge, I think, in the Carabao Cup final in Gravenberch a couple of years ago as well. And I don't think it's because he's so much a nasty player. I think at times he can look clumsy. And some of the angles he comes in with the challenge, and that was a case in point, really, where he ends up facing his own goal to win a challenge when basically he's got someone else coming behind him and he just doesn't need to get involved. So you just got to be careful with that. But as I said, he's a fantastic player, but he definitely needs to learn from that. And I'm sure the manager, if he's come out and said it was, you know, a definite red card, that's really good to hear, and I'm sure he'll speak to him.
It's not often, is it, at the moment, when we analyse set pieces in a game involving Arsenal, that they're on the receiving end of it. And we're going to look at the first goal that Chelsea scored, the only goal that Chelsea scored, which is Trevor Chalobah from this corner.
Yeah. And as I said, we don't talk about Arsenal so much. It was something we highlighted last season, actually, that they had a little bit of a problem defending set pieces, not so much scoring, as we know. But Chalobah, who I actually think has been outstanding for Chelsea this season, I speak at times about maybe a lack of a top centre-back, but he's been excellent this season. He's involved with Timber there as well. And it feels like a lot of the Arsenal players are actually more concerned with stopping a man than actually going to win the ball. I think Timber's the same. And I think Mosquera here at the back post, he seems obsessed with Enzo, rather than just trying to head the ball out. You know, he is on the line at the back post. But what I would say is I think Chelsea deserve that. And what was really interesting in the game is Chelsea have got really good experience, unfortunately, of going down to 10 men. But we've been critical this season of how Maresca's gone about it, going with 10 men. We mentioned going to a back five, I think, at Manchester United. I think certain substitutions at home to Brighton as well. But in this one, they still had a threat going forward. In even later in the game as well.
And his substitutions were like for like as well, weren't they? I mean, Garnacho for Esteval, Delap came on for João Pedro. So as you say, it's not like they retreated. They tried to stay on the front foot.
Yeah, as I said, if you go through Maresca's time at Chelsea, you think of the Club World Cup as well, maybe the end of last season as well, there was a couple of red cards for Jackson. They've never really got positive results. We all know it's tough, but you shouldn't get beat every time you go down to 10 men. And today's a case in point. They're playing against the best team in the country, and they've got a 1-1 draw, and it was fully deserved.
As far as the equaliser that they conceded?
Yeah, I think he'll be disappointed with this, and the reason being why is, if you're going to lose a goal when the opposition got the extra man, you want it to be for that reason that they've got the extra man. And it wasn't really the case, because football is a numbers game. And when we look at the situation now, when the ball comes in the box eventually, you'd expect this, Arsenal to have decent possession, build up into the attacking third. But this is where it changes. And I just want to highlight this battle here. So what you've got is, you've got Fofana, Moreno.
Yeah.
OK? So he's the goal scorer. Fofana's up against him now. I just want to roll it on very slowly. And as the ball comes to Saka, obviously we know does well with the ball, but if I just stop it now, yes, Arsenal have got an extra player, but Arsenal have got 6 players in this picture.
Yeah.
Chelsea have got 9, including the goalkeeper. So this has nothing to do with
being
Arsenal.
Overloaded,
no, it's not. So I think when Maresca looks back at this and the Chelsea defenders look back at this, I think they'll be really disappointed to concede a goal in this situation, because what you end up getting is this.
It worked.
It worked. We got there.
We got.
But what you've got is a 3v3.
Yeah.
That's going to happen 11v11. So I think he'd be disappointed that they've conceded this goal like this. But Saka, who just gets the better of Cucurella, which was something Yamal couldn't do in the week. But Moreno, listen, what a role he plays in this team. It's absolutely fantastic, isn't it, the role that he plays? A goal scorer, a box crasher, if you like. He's always in there with his head, does really well. And you just, from there, you think Arsenal are going to go on and win the game because, as we've seen there, as the ball goes in, Moreno runs and gets the ball. He's trying to get the kick off quickly because they want to go on and win the game.
It's also that. It's also for a man who isn't a natural centre forward. It's the movement to pull off Fofana, and those natural centre forwards always would tell me as soon as you can see your opponent's number, you know you've got them.
Well, it's really interesting, and I've said this before, but not about him. I've said this before about Havertz. I actually have always thought if Havertz was fully fit, he'd be the centre forward in this team, maybe not Gyökeres. Gyökeres came on today and was probably disappointed he didn't get the winner. I think Timber took one right off his head at the end. It'd be really interesting how long it takes before Mikel Arteta puts him fully back into the team, or he sticks with Moreno in that position, because he's been absolutely outstanding with when Gyökeres has been out.
I mean, they had a really interesting discussion in the studio after that, Theo and Daniel Sturridge, about whether that is Arsenal missing an opportunity. So on the one hand, they've got a point away in a London derby against a side who will be there or thereabouts, but they were down to 10 men. So which side of the fence would you fall on there?
I wouldn't say Arsenal were sort of negative, and that's been something thrown at Mikel Arteta over the last few years when they've been going for the title. I mean, you look at the substitutions he made, you know, Miles Lewis-Skelly coming on at half-time. I know Calafiori was on a yellow card, but again, he's going into midfield. Odegaard comes on, Gyökeres comes on. They threw everything at it. But I just felt as the game was getting to sort of the last 5 or 6 minutes, Chelsea was still a threat. So as a manager, if they'd have lost that wouldn't have just been losing a point. Psychologically, to lose against 10 men in a London derby, I think would have been a big blow. You've seen the Arsenal players at the end of the game. They looked a little bit deflated, but it's not a bad point. And I think it's not so much about giving criticism to Arsenal for not going on to win the game. I think we should credit Chelsea, who thought were outstanding with 10 men.